My name is Scott Schultz, and I'm an artist.
And my name is Cecilia Betts, and I'm a scientist at the University of Washington.
And we're at the Washington State Convention Center in Seattle, Washington, at the American Meteorological Society convention.
So there are a few thousand climate and weather scientists here this week, and we're trying to communicate our ideas about science to the public through artwork.
Cecilia and I are collaborators on a project. So I was kind of the art lead, Cecilia was the science lead. And this is our anorak that we made, which is, the anorak fits Cecilia. In other words, we took Cecilia's work and work related to Cecilia's research and sewed it on an anorak that fits Cecilia. So, you know, in the end, she ends up wearing her work on her sleeve. She actually, you know, it's a metaphor for really what scientists do. They put themselves out there all the time.
One of the very meaningful pieces of the piece to me is the time series on the front, this graph on the front, which is the Arctic sea ice cover in the Arctic and its decline over the last 31 years. And then you can see...
That's right. It is up to date to 2010. Right. Cecilia's grad students pointed that out to me when I brought the piece in.
So I'm very interested and concerned about the changes that are occurring in the Arctic, and to me the sea ice is the sort of center of all of that. And then you can see Scott developed this Arctic circumpolar map that covers around the hood of the piece.
Right, the cape, the kind of cowl on the shoulders is 3 different definitions of the Arctic. So I've got the Arctic Circle, I have the tree line, and I also have the 50-degree Fahrenheit line, which is kind of a permafrost line. And depending on what your science is, people use different definitions for the Arctic. And I just tried to include as many of them as I could.
Then there are various animals that are falling out of the Arctic. They're kind of tumbling out as a result of the driving climate change that has occurred there. There are animals like the ptarmigan and, well, the polar bear, which is a little bit around the corner, and the ribbon seal, which are in the process of being listed as threatened.
So and then on the hood, which you can't see very well, those are greenhouse gas molecule designs up there. So I have the 4 big ones: methane, ozone, CO2, and nitrous oxide. And then I have 2 of the minor ones because they were really cool looking molecules mostly. But we needed, you know, they're just really neat molecules. So the hood, you know, kind of forms the atmosphere. The shoulders forms the land. The animals are tumbling out of the land. And then the lower hem, which is meant to be flames, defines, those are stock ticker symbols for major oil and coal producing companies. Not only major polluters and contributors, but they're also really key lobbyists against climate change regulations. And then on the cuffs, explain the cuffs. They're your favorite. The cuffs are there for Cecilia also.
Those are records on the cuffs. The one you're looking at now is global mean temperature. There's a bit of a bump that occurred in about 1920, and then as aerosols that scatter light and actually cool the planet a little increased, and you see a little bit of a cooling, and then at the end, the very rapid warming as greenhouse gases really took over the overall influence on the climate. And then on the other cuff...
That is Cecilia's beadwork, by the way. That cuff is Cecilia's beadwork. And unless you're an expert in beadwork, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between her cuff and the cuff I did.
You can tell the difference.
She's really good.
Then the other cuff is another very meaningful record. It's the global increase in carbon dioxide on the planet, and it's just a steady upward rise.
If people want to know more about artwork like this, where should they go?
Well, there aren't too many examples that I know of, but probably Scott knows of some.
Well, yeah, you can go to my website. But
Oh, well, of course.
I mean, but I haven't worked with climate change before. I've worked with archaeologists and stuff because I do interdisciplinary art.
What's your website?
ScottSchuldt.com. SCHULDT. I'm going to give you that so you can print that.